Before we continue, and that was just the introduction, right? I didn't mean for it to go that long. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, tribe. Make sure y'all make everybody in this chat feel welcome. Make sure you guys make sure you guys just do the hospitable thing. Just take care of one another. Take care of your neighbor. Obviously, I don't have a bunch of mods in my chat, so you might see some wild stuff going on. Please don't pay attention to that. And if you are offended by that, please let everybody know in the chat or send me a whisper, things of that nature, because we want this to feel very safe. We want this to be like a cookout. We want this to feel like you can come in here and say how you feel. We want it to feel safe, bro. At the end of the day, I'm gonna keep repeating it, but we live in a time and an age where sensitivity levels are here and we have to be responsible for what we say. We're responsible for all our actions and all our words. But I am a peaceful person on earth. That doesn't mean that I am disregarding the seriousness of things going on, but I like to enjoy my time on earth. I'm praying that everybody at home and each one of your families, each one of you guys' family members is enjoying time on earth. And please do all that you can to donate to any of the 501(c)(3)s or any of the foundations around our world that are putting forth the best effort to combat any humanitarian crises or any warfare going on. It is sad to see uh, the famine, the starvation, the murdering of innocent women and children in Sudan, Congo, Ethiopia, and Palestine as well. So we don't want to be on here. I don't want to be on here and not show my emotions towards that and give you guys just a reality check. While I'm sitting in front of this camera, still there's so much going on in the world that I myself feel called to um say it loud and make sure that I'm sharing the correct message because I know a lot of people watch me and I know a lot of people not only look to me to make sure I'm doing the right things and making sure I'm putting my best foot forward in life, but also that I'm aware of how much an impact I can make out here, not just with my voice, but also with doing the things necessary to promote others that are doing the right things, that are making sure that people are kept safe and doing the actual work on the ground. It is easy for me to sit here and be a voice box, right? But you know, it's nothing compared to being on the ground when you're in the middle of these things, dealing with these actions up close or dealing with these circumstances up close. Sometimes I will trip over my words, guys. I'm not perfect. Okay, I'm just as human as every single one of you guys at home. I am not silent on these subjects either. Um, I definitely have the utmost empathy for all those around the world that are dealing with just evil, and being in the middle of, we like to call them conflicts, but being in the middle of political conversations and religious wars. I've never experienced that as a human on earth in terms of being attacked verbally or physically, or violence being brought upon me personally because of what I believe in. But I just want to make sure that you guys know that I'm doing all that I can to make sure that I'm protecting those that are speaking out on behalf of things that they believe in, but also their faith and their religion. And it is a tough conversation, but it is not about necessarily semantics. It is about good and evil. If you know right from wrong, you are going to side with the resistance or side with individuals that want safety for all or want to do things to help out the world. I'm not the only person that's doing things to help. I definitely put my money where my mouth is. So I'm not necessarily going to detail about what I'm particularly doing because movements usually work better in silence. So I'm just going to say, I just want to give a shout out to all those that are putting their best foot forward to amplify the voices out there, give platforms to people to say how they feel, and allowing these political conversations to not just be overtaken by religion first. And again, I'm still learning as I go. So I'm not the perfect human to be speaking on all these things all the time. I'm just a human being that has children. I have family members. And if the roles were reversed and any of my family members were overseas or dealing with some type of famine, starvation, or warfare or genocide, I would want a lot of people to speak up. You know, I'm not the news, So I'm not you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna give you the updates that you're probably looking for. We are on live on X and live on Twitch. You know, I know my audience, I know my community on here. I know that this is many different age groups. I know that the streaming world is totally different than what goes on in certain political conversations. But I would say, you know, the more I learn in the amount of time that I spend just with myself and, you know, allowing these questions to come and then also being ready to create the environment with smarter people than I am. You know, yes, I have the platform and I'm grateful to be able to build on a lot of these social digital apps, but I'm not always the right person to be speaking on specific issues that are going on in our world. And especially when it comes to the level of sensitivity with what your words can do and how they can harm people and how people may mistake your words. So or misinterpret your words. So I've been through enough in my life to know that and to understand that me being in this position, I have a lot of responsibility. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's unfair. Sometimes I'm a role model, sometimes I'm not. I see myself as a human being that's learning more and more each day. um, I want to be as transparent as possible with things that I don't know. And I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to grow. If you guys were here last stream, shout out to all you guys that have been tuning into all my streams. If you have your notifications on, shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody that has gifted subs, whatever tier it is. I just want to say thank you because this is growing into more of a broadcast channel, more of a production engineer needed channel because my reach, and I say this very humbly, my reach has gotten to a place where I know that I have to do good with this power that I have. And I don't want to say like the power as if it's like, yo, I got this immense amount of power. No, it's just I'm aware of my place and my position and how long I've been in the public eye and some of the thoughts that I put out there that I probably need to clean up and clarify. Some of the videos and interviews that I've done that haven't necessarily 100% given off the true me. You know what I mean? I gotta react to a bunch of things. I gotta go through a bunch of things, guys, that ultimately I gotta clean up this internet space of mine because I'm noticing that the more that I'm growing and I want to expand, the more that I indirectly hold on to past moments that may put me in a position where it's just like, I don't know, instead of just going for it, you know? It's not, and guys, and I saw somebody said, fuck cleaning up, standing on it. Like, I'm gonna read y'all comments more and more, but it's not, again, you guys got to understand what I've been through in my life. I'm never going to complain to y'all about my life. I'm never going to do that because everybody has a lot on their plate. Every human being is dealing with their own circumstances and issues. We all grew up different. But when you think about this live stream component and you're seeing somebody in front of the camera, it is a level of a pressure where you're when you represent not only yourself but family members, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that I'm pressured to not say how I feel or people have been complaining about what I've been saying or anything of that nature. It's just being in my position, this is new. There isn't anyone else that I could look to be like, oh, they're doing the same thing I'm doing, or they're involved in similar things that I'm involved in, especially when it comes to this platform. You know, we are, including my peers, like we are very media trained individuals. We have our stories, but it's usually meant to just be about basketball and meant to just center around basketball and sports in general. You know, politics, and when you start bringing up entertainment and industry and system, appreciate the gifted uh made in PTY. Appreciate you. You know, a lot of people don't do what I do. And I can't look to my left and right and be like, okay, one of my peers is doing this like this, and one of my peers is doing like that. There's not a common space that is been created as of yet, right? And I know I'm probably chatting and shit like that, and that's fine if y'all think I'm chatting because I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Because I gotta like make sure that this message is getting to my peers too, because I want them to feel comfortable in this space as well. You know, I want them to be able to say how they feel without feeling like they have to be constrained to having a uniform voice. Like if you have something different to say, you should be able to get on your laptop, get on your setup, turn on the mic, and then be able to run through your thoughts. You know, not everybody can vocalize the same way as I can or feel the same way. So I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm just saying we should be we should be becoming more comfortable saying how we feel other than talking about just basketball culture or like lifestyle culture shit, pop culture stuff. I don't want to talk about pop culture all day because that's not who I am and that's not where I'm growing. I want to talk about basketball. I want to talk about the gossip culture at times. I would love to have a space for that, but majority of my time is spent on building, it's spent on innovating, it's spent on caring for others that are in a position where they can't necessarily get out of it so easily and they need a little help. My family, I've had, a few of my members of my family transition, which has been hard on me emotionally, trying to be there for everybody, trying to do everything at once. Because, one thing about being in this skin tone, and I want to let y'all know that because I'm not trying to make it a race thing, but as I've grown up as a black man, as a black child, where I've not necessarily taken the race card and been like, yeah, this is the reason why I'm doing it. It's just, no, I say it because the way I grew up, I had to be aware of what were the invisible laws that I was under that I had to be privy to, but also just the amount of propaganda and brainwashing that was given to me about who my people are and who we are. So me becoming successful, basically what I'm saying is my family looks at me as a generational leader. I am changing the trajectory of my family because I've been able to not just make it to the NBA, but also educate myself enough to know how I can utilize this capital to be able to allow us to thrive, not just exist or survive out here, but us to thrive out here. And probably why I'm so passionate about you know, it's probably why I'm so passionate about the next generation doing better than me is because I don't want them to be afraid to take on that role. You know, we make a a good living. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We make a good living playing in the NBA. If you look at the average NBA salary or the average NBA years, it doesn't reflect everybody and what they're getting paid, but it does reflect a pretty much an average average I would say level of capital or money that's coming in. But what else do you do? What else do you do in the world? Like we can lock in on basketball all day, every day, but what else do you offer? And that's probably what has pushed me to go and get my degree and go and take classes and apply to school because I don't want to just be known as just, I don't just want to be known as just a great basketball player. I didn't accomplish anything. And of course I'm gonna do great things and help out the world, but I still want to have a strong brain on my shoulders. I want to have a strong brain. I want to continue to expand this. I love being able to be creative and be imaginative, but it's also like there's so much that I'm interested in doing. And I think honestly being injured has given me a chance to really reevaluate some of those goals that I had. You know, I set a high standard for myself. I set really high goals, and I want you guys to do the same thing. But really, what I'm referring to is how I grew up becoming this generational leader. I've had to earn it. You know, I've had to earn it. I didn't. This role wasn't given to me. I had to earn this. Like to go through specific things in the world that the world may know about, and a lot of things that the world will never know about. I had to go through these things to earn that spot within my family. I don't know if you guys see this black sheep up here, but if you know what a black sheep is of their family, you kind of get the gist of what that's like. You know, I'm gonna get it to your questions. I'm gonna get to your questions, but again, guys, I just want you to listen because I want you to use me as an example, not just as this basketball player, but just get to know me on these platforms as Kai coming to y'all and speaking to you about not only about healing and holistic ways to heal, but also how I'm handling the stressful moments, the stresses that come with being a generational leader in your family. A lot of you guys in this chat, probably young, my age, or a little bit older, and you're like, what is he getting at? And it's like, no, when you actually question things around you, you're not a common person anymore. I know those that are listening, I'm talking to y'all, so that's really who I'm talking to at this point. But that's what I'm passionate about is making sure it's not easy to be that generational leader family that's here to reverse the brainwashing and make sure the next generation doesn't fall victim to the same things we fell victim to. Because I fell victim to the ignorance. I fell victim to the debauchery. I fell victim to the hurt and pain, and I allowed that to stop me from being who I truly wanted to be. And the reason why I'm also telling you this because I don't want you to be young and discredit yourself so early. I was a child prodigy, guys. I was a child prodigy. I came into the NBA very young. I'm a child prodigy. I was in my teens. I was 19 years old. I had just turned 19 when I came into the NBA. I didn't know how to wash my like I knew how to wash my own clothes, but I wasn't washing my own clothes. I wasn't cleaning no dishes. I had never had a job before I got to the NBA. NBA was my first job. I had no idea how to take care of myself. Like I had no idea how to file taxes. I had no idea about being a professional. I had no idea that I was in the world of entertainment and the broader world of like expectations of like you're a professional athlete, so you got to be like this. So I came into it just very excited, trying to be more mature than I actually was, and I failed. I did, yo. I failed, y'all. I failed. I failed trying to be older than what I was, and I feel like that's what this younger generation is trying to do. We're all trying to be older than what we are, trying to fit in. And then once you get to my age, you look back and like, damn, I wish I still had a little bit of my youth to be able to look around me and be like, yo, I'm actually doing it. No, I'm actually doing it.